Wait, I took the acid 45 minutes ago. How long does it usually take for it to kick in? Hey everybody, this is Steve Giammona from the Steve Giammona Show. In this episode, I talked to Dr. Damon West. I've known Damon West for probably well over 20 years. He's a local chiropractor here in Sacramento. We get into music, comedy, parenting, all kinds of crazy stuff. So give it a listen, check it out.
Welcome to Steve Giammona Show.
Pretty cool, huh?
This is pretty rad.
Yeah, man. He's got quite the setup here. So yeah, I figure we'll just get going, man. No fancy music or anything like that.
We're gonna add that later though, right?
We can. I mean, maybe some Motorhead or
some drum fills or something.
Yeah. That I mean, I guess we could do something, add some music into it. So I mean, or
at least a metronome, so that way I have time. I wasn't sure. Should I have masturbated before I get on this show? Because I don't know how. This is my first one.
You can. So. I mean, it's just let it out, get it out there. So
I just didn't want to, come too quick and you'd be like, dude, come on.
Way, we're used to it. So yeah, I don't know. I'll think about doing music or something like that. But going back to Motorhead, I watched a documentary on them the other night, and that's one of the bands that I wish I could have seen live.
I think a lot of people wish they would have seen them live.
But I was scrolling through my Instagram, and when we saw X back in December,
yes,
I think that may have kind of concluded the bucket list of bands that I've wanted to see that I could see.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than like obviously Nirvana, Beatles, Stones back in the day.
Yeah. So. Well, we're too young for that.
I am.
I mean, the Stones are still touring, but I'd love to see them just because it's the Rolling freaking Stones. Mm-hmm. But man, I just feel bad when I see like Whitesnake is on tour and I look at them, I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Should not be.
And they're only in their 40s.
That's true. It's rock and roll lifestyle is not an easy one.
No, man. But yeah, that would have been one of those bands. I had the opportunity to see them when I lived in LA, I think, and I just didn't do it. And then, yeah, looking back, you're like, fuck, man, that would have been a good one to see.
I had plenty of opportunity to see certain bands, and I just recently saw Pearl Jam for the first time, which it blew me away. I was a pretty big Pearl Jam fan in the 90s, but just for whatever reason, they just never were where I needed to be. And I didn't make it a priority. Yeah. And so all my friends are like, you've never seen Pearl Jam? And I'm like, well, sorry. I mean, I don't mean to disappoint you. But then if you look at all the other bands that I have seen, some lame, some great, but dude, I never saw Van Halen when they were in their prime.
Yeah. That was when I was listening to a podcast with their old manager, I think, that put out a book. And there is no old footage. There's like an 84 show from Oakland or something like that, but that's it. There's nothing.
I think there was a high school that they went to that they shredded. And then there was the Day on the Green or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is that what it was in Oakland?
No, it was at the Coliseum. It was an actual Van Halen show. I think it was like the 84 too, or 1984 or whatever that album is.
Well, I have recently seen there is a Fresno Selland Arena show that was like 82, 83, really? Which that was the height of everything. That was full blown cocaine and Jack Daniels.
Yeah. That
which reminds me,
I don't know. He should be coming back.
Yeah. Do we place an order?
There is a child.
Can I get milk?
There's a child. Yeah, no, that would have been quite the one to see, but I feel like, I don't know, with technology now, you can just go on YouTube and type in whatever you want and see it. So,
well, that's what I end up doing. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of fascinated by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And how technical they were.
Whatever happened to them? They just had that like one album, right?
They had 2 albums, I think. One was an EP, but it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
They're still pretty good. They influenced the fuck out of everybody. Mm-hmm. And they were around when I was a kid. I could have seen them, but just never did.
That's one of the shows that I remember my dad saying that he really wished he would have gone to. And it was the Day on the Green, and Robert Plant broke his arm like 2 days before the show and they had to cancel and he couldn't go to it. But
well, my big recent, and I've talked about this with you, is when Tom Petty was going to be here in town, and his show got moved from Wednesday to Friday, and I just couldn't go on that Friday. So I had to relinquish my ticket thinking, oh, I'll see him again. And 30 days later, he's gone. And you're the one that said it was by far the best jam band live show.
Top 5 shows. And no, I don't have an order, but yeah, it was that at the Greek in Berkeley and the Black Crows opened. And it was one of those shows where it was the biggest karaoke because everybody was singing. Everyone's high-fiving. Everyone's arm around a stranger. You know,
that's that kind of band.
Yeah. And it was just, I remember being like, holy shit, this dude played for like 2 hours and every single song's been a banger.
Well, and haven't you seen Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah.
So he's one that I'm not a huge fan until later in life where I'm like, man, all of his stuff is incredible storytelling, most amazing poetry, and a great jam band. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they can play a 35-minute version of Rosalita or whatever, I'm like, dude, what else can you do?
Yeah, I saw him at the Coliseum in Oakland, and I sat in the very last row, the very top, like center stage looking down, and it was the same thing where you're like, the dude next to you, you're high-fiving. Like, you're like, I don't know what this song is, but it rules. And that's a guy too. He has so many songs where it's hard to even start. And
even his Broadway thing and his new record, which, you know, I guess we all soften and turn into country stars at some point, but
can't wait.
God, he's good.
Yeah. So, but do you feel that like you're the youngest brother, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that having older brothers kind of pushed you into music and helped you figure stuff out, like find stuff?
You know, it did,
or is
because
that just like the cliche kind of,
because all of the music that we had in our house was their music. Cause I was the youngest. I didn't have any money. And so their interests were my interests until they would punch me and tell me to find my own interests. But all the records that we had was like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and the Stones and Creedence. And, you know, I grew up in the 70s, which was more like Captain and Tennille and Elton John, which none of those are bad, but I was just raised on this kind of Southern rock and roll, just headbanger, long hair, whiskey stuff. And so, yeah, it kind of sparked my interest. My taste towards the 80s turned to punk rock, which, you know, the rock and roll and punk rock has the same word in it. So it was kind of nice, but always had this kind of country background. Growing up in Bakersfield, it was Buck Owens and Merle Haggard, but they made fun of you if you liked them. And now I dig them.
No, yeah, those guys are, you can't deny that stuff. So yeah, I think growing up, it was really just my sister Jen, who's your wife.
Yeah, I met her.
And then our older brother Bill, it was his record collection, which had like Beastie Boys, License to Ill on vinyl. He had X, that Los Angeles X album I have. That's his.
It's one of my favorites.
It's one of the greatest albums of all time. And then Wham.
Oh,
Wham was in there.
Well, Bill's a little whammy. Yeah.
So, but then, then you have, then we had my dad's massive record collection. So, and it just spawned.
Which was there. What though? I mean,
it's all rock and roll.
So Stones,
Hendrix, Zeppelin, Creedence.
Didn't he see Zeppelin?
No.
Or no, he saw Hendrix.
He saw Hendrix. He said Hendrix sucked live because he was too fucked up on drugs.
Oh.
He saw Santana a lot.
Wait, your dad was fucked up on drugs or Hendrix was?
I'm sure it was probably a combination of both.
Okay. It's nice.
And then, the whole San Francisco psychedelic scene, they grew up in that.
Oh yeah.
He saw Hendrix and the Monkees. I think he saw him on that tour. My grandmother took him to go see the Stones on their first US tour.
So like 63, 64?
Like that, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Cause they would all come through San Jose and then go up to San Francisco and then wherever else they would go. So yeah, he saw quite a bit. He took me to see my first show.
Which was?
Well, the first like rock and roll, like real legit rock and roll show was Green Day. We saw him at a radio show in San Jose we went over there. And
just like a small venue, parking lot? What?
No, it was like the San Jose Civic Auditorium or something like that. And I had a backstage pass that, like, if you're in the Green Day fan club, you could go backstage. But I don't know if it was an actual backstage pass or it was just like a replica.
Yeah.
So I brought it, and security was like, okay, like, just walk. So I got to walk kind of like backstage, but around the stage and then come back out. And as I walked out, it was a radio show. So there was like 10 other bands. And the lead singer of Mighty Mighty Boss Tones was standing by the exit. And before I went in, the guy's like, hey, he's going to come out at this exit over there. So just go wait for him. So my dad and Pete, my younger brother, went and waited over there. And as I came out, my dad's talking. Oh no, we walk out and I'm like, oh, hey man, like, you're in the Boss Tones. He's like, yeah, what's up? And he, shook our hands and everything. And my dad just goes, you know what time this thing's going to be over?
Total dad question.
I don't know. He's like, I don't know. I think he's like, we play it like whatever. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go sit down over there.
That's your dad. Get a churro, hang out.
Yeah,
watch
get
the
a
bands.
churro, get some popcorn, get a Coke, no ice.
No, never any ice.
No. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of an interesting, kind of cool way to start this thing off.
So is that like your first foray in live music? Is that when you went, I want to do this?
I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot lately because I'm using, I don't have a creative outlet like we've talked about anymore. We're playing drums constantly, nonstop, all the time. So then life happening where you have 2 little kids and you have a wife and a job and all that shit. And now you're just like, fuck, all I want to do is sleep.
Yeah.
I'm tired. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know when that kind of was like, I've always loved music. It's always just been in our house and in my life growing up and everything. And I think it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh, I like it. I'm good at it.
But you said, hey, mom, dad, I want a drum kit. And they gave you one?
No. We had one because Uncle Joe, my uncle, plays drums.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. He has one. And then he gave Pete a practice kit. So Pete originally started playing.
I do remember that.
Yeah. And then he gave up on it. And I started. And by that time, I was like a freshman in high school, maybe, or going into sophomore year. And by then, all my friends were like, hey, I play guitar, blah, blah, blah. And we'd start getting into punk rock and all that stuff. And that's when I was like, well, I have a drum set. And then it was like, oh, and you have like this garage out back that's separate from your house. Like, let's go over and jam. And then from there.
That's magical.
Yeah. So that's when it all kind of started and then just morphed from there. And, so I was playing, the girls were playing the other night on the drum set. It was pretty cool. They like playing it.
Took Zuzu to go get her some effects pedals at the only place where you can buy effects pedals, unfortunately, is Guitar Center.
Effects R Us.
Yeah, I wish there was something like that. Just because I wanted her to play and listen to what like compressed sound was or fuzz or, they have these amazing sounds. And she didn't want to play. She just wanted the guy to demo some stuff. And the 2 that she bought are just amazing. But she wanted to just go look at drum kits because she'd like to have either a practice kit or just a regular kit, or maybe even just an electronic kit. So that way, when she records, she can lay down real tracks and not a digital version. Holy crap. I think that girl either better have a good job or better make it big because she has expensive tastes. It was fun.
Yeah. That stuff's not cheap, man. Like they're pretty, they can be priced pretty decently, but yeah, if you're going to really buy one, you want to get a good one, but no, I didn't. So they didn't like buy me a drum set. We had one and then just beat the shit out of that thing. And then I think it was maybe like sophomore year going into junior year where I found a drum set that I wanted at the local music store. And it's the one I still have. And I put it on layaway when you could put stuff on layaway and not buy it right away. So yeah, all summer long I worked for it. And then every pay period I went there and I was like, here's whatever. I think it was like $1,000 maybe.
Hey everybody, if you liked what you just heard and you'd like to hear more than just a 14-minute long clip, like and subscribe to Steve Giammona Show. It can be found on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate it. Okay. Does that work?